Hello, we're out here with my outdoor worm bin and some other things here, and today I want to talk about three things. How I separate the worms from the castings, and a couple of processes for doing that. How I store my castings, and then further separate worms and cocoons as they're being stored. And finally, how I use the castings, some various ways I use them. So let's start with how I separate worms from the castings. So here's my outdoor worm bin, and we'll go inside. And so once we're inside, we'll take one of the trays of my Vermi hut. It came with 5. What we do is we'll just put some of the castings inside. And then what we'll do from there is we'll take this bin, which has another 20-gallon container in it, and we just kind of place the Vermi hut tray inside of it. And then from there, you just kind of sift like that, and all the big stuff will stay inside and the castings will go down. And of course, you'll get a worm or two on the top. So I went ahead and did this about 6 days ago. And what we got were some really rich castings, just absolutely beautiful castings here. Well, in those castings are some worms and cocoons, and because some of them can get through the little holes in there, so what I do is I put a little bait station, and that bait station consists of egg carton, and in that egg carton I put some food. So I'm just going to kind of go in here, and we're expecting to see some worms. I'll get as much of the castings away as I can, and hopefully the worms have congregated in here. And if not, it just means that there's not a whole lot of worms in here, and that's okay. We'll just kind of break it apart. Right now I'm not seeing a whole lot, which is good. It's been 6 days. I may have gone through whatever food I had in here. But as we get down here, I'm starting to see some of the baby worms, and those are the ones that will make it out of here. So these chunks have some of the baby worms in here. So what I'm going to do is, this is all finished castings in here. And this has the baby worms from the baiting station, and I'll just put them straight into my outdoor bin to let these worms, these little baby worms, come back to the bin and do their thing. And here's what I baited them out with. It was just a piece of watermelon, and they've eaten all through it. In fact, here you go. You can see really well right there all the worms. Not too many, which is good. I didn't expect there to be that many. When I sift them out, I pick through the worms and try and get as many as I can see. So these were all the ones I didn't see. And this is what I do every time I feed the outdoor bin. I take a little castings out, and then I'll do a little baiting of it. So we'll just go ahead and put those in there, and we'll leave this in here too. All right, so the next question is, after I have the castings, what do I do with them? How do I store them? Because I'm not necessarily going to use them right away. And everybody knows somebody that has a cat, or they have a cat themselves. We don't have one. Our good friends Laniers have a cat. But I get these kitty litter barrels from people that have cats. And right now my mom gave me these two, so we've got some extras. And what I did was I drilled holes in it. I don't know if you can see the various holes, so they can get air. But inside here is where I store the worm castings. Right inside there. I put them all in here, whether it's the inside bins or outside bins. So with that, some of these castings that came from a outdoor red wiggler bag are going to go in here. And there may be a cocoon or two in there and maybe some worms. So once they go in here, it's kind of like a mixed bag. I'm not going to take the worms that are in here and put them in any other bin but my Vermi hut red wiggler bin, because it is a mixed bin. So same thing with the ones I take out of the outdoor bin. When they eventually all go in here, I will put a little bait station in there, and then the worms will congregate to the bait station, and whenever I need castings, I just take the bait station out, get some of the worms out that are right there, and then I'll use these castings. So this is a real convenient way to store your castings, and these are stored outside, in case you're wondering. All right, so then the question is, all right, what do you do with the castings? And one of the things I do is I'll make worm tea. So I just take this bag and put a few handfuls of castings in here, and then this goes into another barrel, just like this, I've got an aerator and some rainwater that we collect. And I put in some amendments. I'll put in some bone meal. I'll put in some dried banana peel. And there are some great videos on worm tea if you ever are wondering about it. I can't even touch those videos, so I don't even show my worm tea. But everybody's got their concoction. I'll let that go for about 48 hours, and then I'll spread that on my garden as a foliar spray, or just straight in as a little bit of a fertilizer. So that's one of the ways I use my castings. But another way I use them is I make seed starter mix. There's a ton of videos on making seed starter mix with worm castings, but one of the things I do want to talk about is I don't use straight worm castings for seed starter mix. What I found when I did that was it's very hard to know when to water, because these castings absorb water so well that it's very easy to overwater your seeds. They'll sprout and germinate, and then shortly after that, for me, they died off because I just didn't know how to water them properly. I tried not to water them, and they still got really soggy, and then the plants eventually died. But I learned that a good way to use your worm castings for seed starting is you use a mix of either your soil, or you can use cocoa coir or peat moss. It really doesn't matter when you're just starting the seeds. But what you want to do is you take 4 handfuls of your regular soil, 3, I think this is 4, I hope so, and then 1 of your seed starting mix, or of your worm castings, and then you mix them around, and then from there you've got a perfect little seed starter. So put that in. The worm castings do a really good job of keeping the moisture in, so when you water this and put your seeds in and then water it at the beginning, it keeps the water in real well, helps the seeds germinate, and then when you do your regular waterings, again, the worm castings will keep the moisture in there, but because it's only 1/5 of the contents of it, it does not soak it and keep it soaked as the roots are trying to grow, that kind of thing. So I hope this has been helpful. I got myself a little dirty here, but I just want to let you know how I sort my castings, how I store my castings, and then in the end, what I do with my castings. So hope everybody's having a great day, and happy vermicomposting, everybody. Take care now.